So a couple of weeks ago, I started a new project which I would eventually call the Default Palette Project. I've seen a number of trends on Reddit in particular where people would challenge themselves to post or create something every day for a set amount of time. The main one that I've seen was in the Breath of the Wild subreddit, in which a user by the name of u/theduckpancake, great username by the way, decided to dedicate themselves to drawing badly until Breath of the Wild 2. And at the time of recording this video, they have created over 400 drawings, all of which are obviously amazing. Now, I'm not saying that I'm doing this for the clout. That person has a lot of karma and a lot of rewards. That's not the point. I am a long-time fan of Spore. It was one of my first ever PC games alongside the likes of Portal and Gmod, and I sunk many, many hundreds of hours into it. For a game that is considered to be fundamentally unfinished and somewhat broken by a large majority of its fanbase, I think it's a truly wonderful game and is still one of the best examples of a god simulator to this very day. Who knows, maybe soon another game will rise up and contest the long-dead Spore for its place as the ultimate god sim. To the devs of Elysian Clips, if you're watching this, please contact me. I have so many fucking ideas. Over the last couple of weeks, I feel as though I've become a known regular member of the Spore subreddit, and it makes me truly, truly happy to see my creations being used in people's memes and posts, and a few favourite of mine being posted by the wonderful u/mesmerfriend, who's made a lot of different meme posts on the subreddit. One of these I especially love, and I just had to turn it into a fully fledged meme after his initial post. It's too good. Anyway, you came to this video because of the whole default palette project thing, right? Honestly, I was always planning on looking back on this project when it had gotten going right from the very first day. I'm a bit of a weirdo when it comes to graphs and bulk information. I like to see it afterwards, so I went ahead and made a small infographic showcasing the number of upvotes and the number of comments for each post so far. And at the time of me recording this video, only actually day 1 through to 23 have actually been posted. So I'm technically cheating on calling this the halfway point because I don't actually have the info on day 24 yet. Either way, let's take a look at some of the best and also the worst creations so far, according to you guys. So before we head on to some of the more interesting creations, I thought I would start out with the not so good ones. So coming in at, I guess this is number 23 on the list right now, we have this guy, the Tetraflops. Now this one is currently the worst performing creature I've made in this entire project, and frankly, I understand why. This point in the project, I was still really focusing on trying to make the creature look good based around its color scheme, and you can see here I've failed in quite a number of ways. First of all, this skin is incredibly boring. All it really is a pink stripe down the top of the body, a white stripe down the bottom, and these kind of veiny things on the knees and elbows. I tried to highlight the veins by adding a bit of hair on the legs, but it doesn't look too great, and I tried to kind of like outline the line on his back using the little hairy bits here, but all round it doesn't look that good. It's not even like this creature's particularly bad, it's just a tiny bit boring. I feel like if every single creature on the list was like a huge flamboyant carnivorous predator, then it would be really boring. So it's good to have a few kind of like livestock animals, you know. I feel like this is like kind of like a pig, you know, like maybe you can farm this animal. Next up, we have the Baromouth, which managed to gain just 23 upvotes, which is a little bit shit for this project, if I'm honest. Again, I think it comes down to a lot of the same reasons. The color scheme for this one is not the nicest to work with. My first thought was this guy looks a bit like a zebra, you know. He's got like a very contrasty two-tone body, but obviously just making like a horse type shape would be pretty boring, so I tried to give it a bit of alien flair, as you'd expect. One thing I do really like about this creation actually is its eyes and its little horn on top of his head here. I was going for a kind of like Parasaurolophus type crest, if I'm honest, and I think it does look pretty good. The buck teeth, or the giant fangs that we have on the front here, were obviously not the best idea. This guy is a vegetarian, so the fangs don't really make a lot of sense. It's not unheard of for vegetarian animals to have giant fangs like that, but it is a bit weird. I kind of imagine this guy would be, again, similar to the last one, not just your typical predatory carnivore type thing, but this guy would be in herds of like hundreds of these guys, and they would all stick together with their little babies around them. Try and protect them, you know. I think it's cute, honestly, but again, sometimes these color schemes are really hard to work with, hence why I think this guy didn't do particularly well. I wasn't very inspired, basically. Next up, we have this guy, the Viopida. This is It's a weird looking creature. I tried to make him as interesting as I possibly could, but the basic kind of gist of this creature is, you know, when you play Cards Against Humanity and you have a round where it's like the card isn't very funny, so you just sort of throw away some of your shit cards. You know, that was this guy right here. I kind of made the decision halfway through this project that I wanted to make sure I'd used every single part available to me in the creature creator at least once, and this was kind of my way of doing that. I hadn't used crystals once so far at this point in the project, and I doubt I will again if I'm honest, and I hadn't used this awful strike item. I've never liked this strike item. I think it looks really dumb. I tried using up some interesting eyes. I think his eyes are actually pretty cool looking. I tried contorting the mouth as much as I possibly could to make it look interesting as well, but this guy was ultimately doomed, which is a real shame. Anyway, onwards from the boring ones, let's go to the guys that have actually done really well. So coming in at number 3 on this list, we have the awesomely named Meganopterinx. I do seem to have a bit of a habit with the kind of names that I give my creatures, but this one I am especially proud of. I kind of realized at this point in the project, this is day 12 currently, that the best thing to do in terms of making creatures that I wasn't usually familiar with was to simply Google them and try and like replicate an existing animal and then modify it to look alien, to look sporish, and that's exactly what I did here. It was recommended to me to do a praying mantis type figure, and that was exactly what I wanted to go for. Again, my process with this was usually just to make the body first, and then the legs, arms, head, and then add any details afterwards, and that's exactly what I did. I made the front legs first, had the back legs come out this kind of reverse style, which is something that I hadn't technically used before, but is very common in a praying mantis type creature. He doesn't actually have hands, he just has 2 giant mandibles. I kind of regret not making these claws longer now, but I think it still looks really good either way. Obviously then I did the head, which is a huge combination of hidden arm pieces inside there in order to have the eyes come out further, and of course bone pieces as well. And then in order to make his body look a little bit more interesting, I put a bunch of hair underneath 2 giant shoulder blade parts here. I love making a single part huge and then just putting it out at a weird angle. It can add so much depth to a creature and make it look so much more interesting. Anyway, the Meganopterinx is honestly one of my absolute favorite on this list. I love it. I think it looks really cool, and I'm glad it performed so well. Coming in at number 2, we actually have the first guy that I made on this entire list. He's pretty awesome. Honestly, I don't really know what I was thinking with this guy. It was day 1. All I wanted to do was just get a post put out saying, you know, announcing what I wanted to do with this project, and he turned out to be one of you guys' favorites, which I think is awesome. He's got this cool head flare using like a piece of there that gives him charm and a piece that gives sprint. He's got these 4 sideways eyes on his quite long head, and they're sort of like cupped by a really weirdly contorted bone piece, and I think he looks really, really good. He looks very friendly. He looks very cute and wholesome, and that was exactly what I was going for. You know, on day 1 of this project, I was trying to really stick to the idea of the color scheme is the prompt, and I think that this guy is like beige with polka dots. Like, come on, of course he's going to be happy. He looks so friendly. This was the same guy in the meme from before that, by the way, doing the little pose. Basically, he's probably the friendliest, cutest looking creature on this list so far, and you know, I think his feet and his hands definitely show that. Last on this list, we have the War Kafer, or Kevin, as you guys have mentioned he looks like, which was entirely the inspiration, so well done for figuring it out, whoever of you did. And yeah, this guy is really, really cool. This was my first use of feathers on a creation in this project. I have tried using feathers in the past, but not to a great deal of success, and with this guy, I feel like it worked really, really well. So this guy is the most upvoted creature on the project so far, and honestly, I can't tell if it's because I made a good use of parts, a good combination of things that look bird-like, or if because it's a reference to Up, which in itself is a beautiful film. This guy is entirely created after the likes of Kevin from that film, and obviously modded to look a little bit more Spore-like. But honestly, it could also be the fact that his head and his eyes match. Like, I think I was trying to think of a use for these eyes in particular, and they just look so good for a derpy bird-like creature. I think it looks awesome. So yeah, Kevin, War Kafer, this guy is one of my favorites on the list so far, and it's also a favorite of you guys, so I'm glad that you enjoyed this one so much. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this little recap of the default palette project. I'm probably going to make another one of these. Well, I almost definitely will make another one of these when it comes to day 48. I've got a lot more ideas planned, and yeah, honestly, I'm excited to see what else we can do. If you do have any ideas for what you'd like me to do after this project is completed, please do comment below. One which I would find really difficult, if I'm honest, is something along the lines of like a default palette project for vehicles. I would be very uninspired with vehicles, but if you guys want to see it, I will definitely give it a go. I started out with creatures because obviously making creatures in this game is something that I love doing and something that a lot of people usually like to see as well. I could do modded, I could do dark injections, I could do buildings, I could do outfitting. So yeah, again, if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below, and you may inspire what project I do after this one, so that could be cool. But yeah, either way, if you are interested in seeing more Spore content from myself, if you think I've made a relatively entertaining video right now, you can support me by subscribing, commenting, liking, the usual crap. You guys all know what to do. It's YouTube, it's universal. But I've actually recently started a modded Spore LP, which is now on episode 5, I believe, at the time of my releasing this video. So if you want to go watch it, it's me playing Spore. You know, I've tried to put a bit of effort into the cuts and the memes and the funnies, and I think it's good. I think it's entertaining. So if you are interested in seeing more content from me, I highly recommend starting there. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little recap of the default palette project, and I will see you in just over 3 weeks for another video. So thanks for watching. Take care. Thank you to everyone in the Spore subreddit for being awesome, and I will see you all very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.